Well, I'm actually at this moment, I'm a little speechless. This was so totally unexpected. You know, I had planned to just slip in and just thank everybody for their support over the years and slip out again. As I said, this was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. It's been a very warm experience. I've felt I've made more close friendships there than many other activities I've been involved in. And I'm just really quite devastated not to be there, to tell you the truth.
That's pretty good for not being speechless.
And that was Rich Shearer, in case you didn't recognize his voice.
Well, I guess that's really all I have to say. I'd like to hear the rest of the meeting.
Okay, well then we'll proceed, and I'll start with the functionaries, and I'm going to mention Reiner is officially the timer, but he and Andy, I've got to give credit to, have been the brains and brawn behind getting this event rolling, and a number of others have joined in, such as Darla Koppel. So I would like to have Reiner introduce his function and maybe make some general comments at this point.
As timer, I'm going to mainly be timing the table topics portion. You know, that fun part where we get to speak promptly. Glad the grammarian wasn't introduced yet. I will be timing with the standard green, yellow, red light. What timings would you like, would the table topics master like?
I think the standard time is good.
Which is 1.5, 2 minutes, and 2.5. Okay.
Suzanne, can you hear us well enough?
Well enough, yeah. I can make it out.
What I'm going to ask, and I'll remind the attendees, speak towards the speakerphone in the center and maybe stand and project towards it so that we can give as much to Suzanne as we can. And you're welcome if you want to come up and speak to the phone. That'd be fine as well. Next is Koppel, who is our stand-in vote counter.
I'm the vote counter for the meeting, and I'm going to count votes. I'm going to vote only in case there's a tie. The best table topics cup is right there. It's going to come around the table. Andy, whenever you start voting, it's going to come around. Please put your votes into this cup, and I'll count them here when I get there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And now our club secretary is our next functionary. He is the counter. This is Isaac Konikoff.
Hello, I'm the counter. I'm supposed to get a friendly reminder if anyone uses and, or while speaking at the lectern, and I'll ring the bell like that. Too embarrassing.
Thank you, Isaac. And now our grammarian is somewhat late today. Monica is our grammarian. So we will punt for the word of the day unless someone instantly has a suggestion and volunteers to share it.
How about retirement?
Retirement. Thank you.
Suzanne.
Thank you. That's a proper noun. I believe that's right. Oh, great mentor. Suzanne is a noun, so we'll use retirement, which should be an easy one. But this is going to be a fun meeting. So we'll move on to the general evaluator, who is Darla.
My function today is to evaluate the flow of the meeting, and as well as to introduce the evaluators of speakers. However, we don't have any speakers today, so I will just give my opinion, or the evaluation of the meeting in general.
We will have several comments made, however, in Suzanne's behalf, even though there is no formal speech.
Okay.
And so, at this stage, I get to introduce a long-term and very active member of the club to lead our table topics, Mr. Andy Darling. Please come up.
Well, we have some of the pecking order here, I guess. Bill is the Toastmaster because he can project back quite a ways. I can't project back quite as far. So luckily we have a few members here that probably know what was going on when this Toastmaster Club was put together. We've got Norman. You were fine with Norm, Jen Hoffman, Rich Shearer, Jen Harding, over there in the corner, trying to hide, but you can't hide from the tabletop. Okay. We have a couple of guests here too, Tina and
Duggan?
Doug?
Duggan.
Duggan. Tina and Duggan, okay. Let's see, did I miss? Oh,
Great.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Craig Beardsley.
You're still a guest, right, Craig?
Well, I guess. I don't feel like one.
Okay, so we have a good crowd here, Suzanne. Yes, yes. Well, there's been a few changes, I guess. From
You're fading out a little bit.
I'm fading out. Well, that's what I do. I fade in and out. And there's been a few changes. One of the notable changes, improvements in our club was the creation of the pizza chairman. So this is sort of the glue that holds everybody together in the club, and I can see that it's well received today. We've got, well, you know, table topics is the impromptu opportunity to speak impromptu, and it's the right brain kind of speaking opportunity, meaning it's the fun side of your brain. So supposedly, but I don't understand why it is that people sort of shy away from this, because I think it's like once you've done it, you say, oh, that was really a lot of fun. Maybe it's fun to watch other people do it. I'm not quite sure what's behind all of that, but I sort of understand that this is fun. So we're going to have table topics today. We're going to have 1 to 2 minute table topics. We've got a word that everybody should work into their table topics called retirement, fitting. And I picked a topic that's related to our theme today, which is sort of looking backward in the club and looking forward for Suzanne. This is really a celebration of Suzanne's retirement and her 14 years with the company, Suzanne?
16.
16. That's right. That's right. 16 years. Wow. And 14 of it with Toastmasters.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
How long did it take to put this group together? I mean, you had your first meeting in 1984, and I remember when I was up in British Columbia, I looked and I said, oh, there's a Toastmaster club there, and I knew Rennie Buford, and I said, oh, that looks like something really neat.
Yeah, I think it took us 6 months to get the charter.
6 months.
I think we received our charter on Good Friday, and we had actually had our first meeting in November of 1983.
Wow, this is almost an anniversary then.
Yes, it is.
Whoa. Okay. Okay, well, getting on to our table topics here. I'm sorry, but it's a little complicated. I couldn't settle on really just one topic, so it's a triple topic. It's really 3 topics, and I have, so I'm going to ask people to talk impromptu about soft talkers and the impact the soft talkers has had on them, or maybe to reminisce with you, Suzanne, over the last 14 years. You're right here, so they can actually get you to do some of the talking, you know, so they don't have to talk the whole minute and a half. They can ask you questions, you know, kill time that way.
Kind of like the paparazzi taking in.
See, is this gonna be fun? Okay, and then we have another topic. It has to do with being a book critic. Now, you know, Suzanne, you know, you're a top-notch IRC researcher. We all know that. But I don't think people know that in your spare time you write books.
I didn't know that either.
Oh yeah, and I actually brought in a half a dozen books that you recently released, and I thought half a dozen. I thought it would be fun to. I know some of the people aren't really familiar with these books, and I thought it would be fun, and some people are, and I know that those people that are really want to come up and share their knowledge with the rest of us here. And so I'm going to ask some book critics to come up here and comment on some of your books here, Suzanne. You've written this Soft Talker in Paris by Suzanne, illustrated by Marc Chagall. And I think this is really a timely book. And I would like to hear, you know, some people's impressions of that. You know, we have another book here, A. Musketeer Tale, by M-I-C-A-E-Y and Suzanne. Well, I wonder what that could be about. We have The Real Inside AGCS by Suzanne, by S. Lennon and S. Adams. I don't know who was the collaborator there. We have several other books that we'll go on with. I don't want to not monopolize this. This is really not my turn to talk. This is everybody else's turn to talk. So we have 3 topics, and I'd like to call for a volunteer. I won't tell you what topics you're going to do. I just want to, and I want to make this before we have to let our former colleagues here have the first choice if they would like to come up here and take part in this table topics session. Norm, Rich, Jan. Okay, we've got some shy
Yes.
Toastmasters here. Now we'll open up a little bit. Do we have any other volunteers? Oh, I can't ignore Beth Coble here. Come on up here. Now, this is sort of a 2-page table topics. You come up here and I'm going to say, which of the 3 topics would you like to Would you like to just reminisce with Suzanne? Would you like to talk about soft darkness, or would you like to take the challenge?
I'd like to reminisce.
Go for it. Go for it. What is it?
Well, Suzanne, in honor of your retirement, I would like to reminisce about one of the great moments in Soft Talkers history. And I wanted to do this in order to share this with some of the newer members who were not there for this momentous occasion. It was a speech contest, an area speech contest that took place at, I believe it was Tom Tate's Buffet Restaurant. I don't remember exactly how long ago this was, but it was probably over 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, long ago. So Suzanne was giving a speech. She was a contestant in this contest, and as I recall, she was speaking on censorship, literary censorship. And at Tom, we had our own separate room there at Tom Tate's, but the meeting was running late. Now, this rarely happens in Toastmasters, but the meeting was running late according to the agenda. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that Suzanne was the last speaker. So as Suzanne got up to speak, she started into her speech. And she was doing very well, she was very poised, when suddenly, from across the wall, the band started to play. Loudly. And this is because we were running late and they thought they could start at a certain time so as not to conflict with the meeting. However, because we were running late, suddenly the band started to play loudly, and this was right in the middle of Suzanne's speech. And I just watched in awe as Suzanne did not miss a beat. She continued her speech as if nothing were happening, as if there were no distractions at all. And I was just so impressed with her poise. And I just thought it was one of the great moments in Soft Talkers history. In fact, she ended up winning the speech contest. And to me, I guess the word poise is one of the things that describes Suzanne as a Toastmaster, and I will always remember her for that. So that's my reminisce about the great moment in Soft Talkers history.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, you remember that, right, Suzanne?
I remember it very well, and I don't remember the poise. I remember that is what I remember, but I think sometimes those situations make you rise above yourself. And I think it forced me to project in a way that I probably wouldn't have if that hadn't happened to me. So I think it worked to my benefit, and I think I also got the sensible vote from the judges as well.
That was quite a moment in Soft Talker history. Made an impression. Yes, so I want to call for another volunteer. Rich. Okay, we have Rich here coming up here now. Rich, you know, I want to give you the same opportunity as I gave Beth. And I want you to know that, you know, as a critic, you don't, you know, you're allowed to ramble and tell you to sort of get what is inside. You can tell a book by its cover. And these are clues to what we have in store with Suzanne. So if you would like to reminisce with Suzanne, or would you like to just talk about Soft Talkers, or would you like to take on a...
As great as your book topics are, I'd like to reminisce.
Oh, darn. Okay, go for it.
Beth brought up the topic of Suzanne's poise when speaking with Toastmasters. I remember in early days, vaguely remember, some of these younger guys can remember better than I, that she was kind of the glue, I think, that held the original Toastmasters together. Knew the rules and kept everybody involved in Toastmasters when it was just getting started. So I think that was a tribute to Suzanne. In addition to that, I'd like to share with the Toastmasters some other tributes that Suzanne showed while she was working here. Not necessarily in the Toastmasters, but in her job with the IRC Center. I didn't know this, that Suzanne has a lot of power and charm. And she showed it when we were working together trying to talk with Lucid. A little bit background, we're trying to get into something called ITU, International Standards Body. And we had to work through Lucid because Lucid had paid them something like $25,000 for membership. We were a member of Lucid, so we were entitled to it. But we had to work with some guy named Herbertine, who was probably a director of ACS. I had worked with him for 6 months, and I had basically exchanged emails and hadn't gotten anywhere with him. And I turned him over to Suzanne, because Suzanne that's where we were going to put the contact with the ITU in the IRC Center. So Suzanne talked to him, and did you actually meet him when you were in Switzerland, Suzanne?
No, I didn't. I didn't have an opportunity to.
Okay, but she traveled the world. And she talked to Herbertine, and all of a sudden I started getting emails from him because of her southern charm and her persuasiveness and her stick-to-itiveness. She was able to talk to this person in Lucid, and nobody else could get through to have them agree that little bitty ADCS. You heard the story about the elephant and the fly. Remember the fly in Lucid? This was another case where only Suzanne was able to get the elephant's attention. Time for us to, we wanted to give them $5,000, but it took us 6 months to persuade them to let us do that. But Suzanne finally was able to do that. So I just wanted to share with you that she had many attributes, and those are the two that I remember most. Thank you.
Rich, yes. I remember Rich's, one of Rich's speech about his motorcycle trip to Chicago. I don't know how many times he's given that, but some of those stick with you. Sort of in awe about going through miles and miles and miles and miles of Texas and other places. Well, okay. I'm going to ask one more time if Norm would like to come up here. Here comes Norm.
Thank you.
Tell me you want to reminisce.
Okay, I'll reminisce. I'm going to twist my arm. These books look so interesting. But I do have a few reminiscences to share with Suzanne today in honor of her retirement. The first one, of course, is our charter dinner at Monty's on 19th Avenue when we also had the occasion to celebrate the first lottery check that my wife won. And now we've got 14 of those checks, so we're on the downside, which I guess is okay. But that was quite a memorable. I remember Phil Harrington speaking at that meeting, and we were a small club, but I'm happy to see the Toastmasters is continuing on as soft talkers at AGCS, and I'm sure a lot of that goes to the effort and charm of Suzanne. The other reminiscence I have with Suzanne is that since I'm also married to a librarian, I have a lot to share with Suzanne and her occupation, and also the fact that Suzanne used to work with my wife's boss. So, and while Suzanne has a lot of capabilities and charm and personality that make somebody easy to work with, well, my wife's boss is maybe a little bit more colorful. And it does lend some interesting things that my wife will bring home in terms of what her boss has decided is going to be thrown away on that given day, or what areas need to be weeded extensively in the collection at the Mesquite Branch Library. So it's certainly been a pleasure to know Suzanne and to be able to share some of these stories with her at lunchtime. And best of luck to you in your retirement.
Thank you so much.
Bill. Oh, and here comes Bill Haney.
Of course I'm going to reminisce. I'm also going to play with the phone, so we'll call you back if I lose you. There's a volume button here. I'm going to see if I can increase it. Try it. Does that sound any better?
I'm hearing okay now.
How about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, what I think I did was increase the volume here so the audience and microphone can pick up a little better. It's great to be here with you. It's kind of actually an interesting meeting this way. We've had some other interesting meetings, and we've had audiovisual aids, which is the topic I'm going to mention and reminisce about. But this one is kind of unique and fun to participate in. These books are really interesting. I assume a Mouseketeer's Tale looks like fun. If I were to do a book story, I think I'd pick that one. You'll have to check these out when you have a chance to come in. I want to mention that Suzanne is retiring from AGCS and not She's a card-carrying member and continues to be. And I'd like to encourage you, Suzanne, to know that you're welcome, and we encourage you to return when you can and attend the meetings and participate. So we celebrate your retirement, but not your goodbye to Toastmasters.
Well, thank you. I do plan to come back, and that was one of the things I debated this morning. Could I somehow drag myself into work and attend this one last meeting? And then I realized that I'd have plenty of opportunities, and so I didn't feel quite so bad about it until I found out what you did.
Yes, well, we didn't do this to make you feel bad. We want you to feel good.
I do.
And we had a feel-good meeting a few years ago down in the Video Conference Center, where we met with Genoa's club. I guess that's the Stroger Club still, which was the original automatic electric Toastmaster club. We probably are due to meet with them again sometime. However, this particular meeting, I noticed one of our prize speakers, who shall remain nameless, this person was a librarian, and frankly, the image I had was fairly conservative of this person, and an outgoing person, but maybe on the shy side, perhaps, not overly outgoing. And the topic was a dramatic reading. Anyone remember that dramatic reading? I think someone does. Michael Egger raised his hand. And I believe this was about one of your trips to Paris. I couldn't tell if it was an autobiography or not. It probably wasn't. But the dramatic reading was very famous, and naturally, your literary skills are way beyond mine as an engineer. I didn't kind of major in English, but this was a famous book, so maybe when I'm done, you can tell us what book it was. But I believe you described the story of your being a hooker in Paris, your younger life, and I thought
yeah, not exactly. You're taking poetic license.
this is really an interesting dramatic reading, and I thought, gee, taken out of context, it was quite a surprise and quite a well-delivered punch for the meeting. So I'd like to leave you with that thought, and maybe you can tell us what book it was so we can all read about it.
Suzanne, would you like to rebut that accusation?
Yes, I would like to respond to it. I believe that what I read was an excerpt from a Chekhov play, and it was about, of course, it was said about 100 years ago, and it was back in the days when the upper classes routinely kept mistresses and visited prostitutes and so forth. And this was the story of a father for his son's 16th or 18th birthday, introducing him to a prostitute. And just telling it like this is a little bit out of context. But if you read the play or if you heard it, it was really a very touching story about a father and his son coming of age, and how the whole thing, it had a bit of a surprise ending. I think the son didn't really go through with it, and the father was very happy that he didn't. What was sort of the surprise ending of it. But the other part of Bill's story is a complete lie. I didn't Paris or any place else.
Yes, Suzanne, I'm sorry. I want to retract and apologize. I did not mean to imply that you were 100 years old.
But you did mean to imply the other.
Bill, yes. I'm glad that we put that in context. I'll go down to the library tomorrow and get the real story. Or I'm in the Information Resource Center. I don't know why I always say library. Okay. Well, okay, we're starting to narrow the field here. Jan? Okay, now, I'll give you your choice.
You know what, this feels like I'm going to be before a fabric school again. It's gone back years.
Would you like to be a book critic?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, now let's see. I'll let you choose the book.
The one
and-
about Paris,
The one about Paris.
because that's
Okay.
the only thing I might know anything about.
Now, there's an excellent book. People would like to know what, no, I don't.
It might have had something I could read then. What happens over here? Do these lights go off on series?
Yeah.
Okay, where do I get the start signal?
Oh, when you start, I thought.
Okay, lights started. I remember Suzanne from Software a long time ago, but we began to talk together in the library, I don't care if I call it the library, about the fact that Suzanne actually had a lot of French culture and knowledge in her background, because some of her family were French. And Marc Chagall is actually an artist. Well, one of the things that I have been Paris for is to go and see the artists, and to go and speak French, and to go and travel around and drink the wine occasionally, like 3 times a day. And I like this European Heritage Week, because for me, I came from England, and I think it's Spanish. We might speak Spanish, but it's not something that I could relate to. This thing about being in Paris, I live on the banks of the Seine, about seeing the booksellers, and about going to the opera, seeing the pictures, going to see the favorite artists you might have. And it was so nice to occasionally try out a little bit of French. Well, let's try it again. Suzanne, let's see. Au
Oui, oui,
revoir.
qu'est-ce que c'est?
Eh bien,
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
qu'est-ce que c'est?
Oui.
Je veux te dire au revoir et bonsoir et regarde.
Ah, merci beaucoup, tu es très gentil.
Et toi aussi. Now, oh, I got a light last night. I can't remember those horrible days when you only shoot on your fingernails. I had Suzanne here to be able to relate to somebody else in this transition state between different cultures. And I think that I hope for Suzanne that she gets more chances to go back to France, to be able to enjoy more the occasional glass of real French wine, to enjoy also some good French cheese, and maybe some nice crisp bread. That would be super. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. I think you probably set the record, Jan, for getting in the shortest time. You know how many months?
No, I don't remember.
It was very quick.
Listening here.
We had a comment.
That's right.
Okay. We have time here. Looking at our guests. Okay, and I'll see you in a minute. How about you, Michael? Now, I'm not going to do it. Just pick up one.
By the way, Suzanne, I remember the video conference room speech, and I remember the whole lot closer to what you described it to me. Not so much now that some of you don't know right here, is we have to have you with us in the room here.
How's that?
If you weren't going to bring a variation of you here, somebody is the reason employee appreciation day, I'm guessing, was awarded an olive oil full stand-up shirt.
Oh, no.
I protested, but they didn't listen to me. Anyway, so we have olive oil standing here, looking nothing like the best we
Does
could
she
do.
have a bun on the back of her head?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I guess that's sort of a stereotypical representation of a librarian.
Well, don't look too closely at the feet. Well, I've got all these books here. Everything you always wanted to know about the Worldwide Information Resource Center but couldn't locate. That's a little bit frightening in its own way. I always notice that the IRC is IRC, if you pronounce it, and that's sort of a little bit interesting and maybe annoying to you. But I hope that doesn't bother you too much. We got Lenin Vision. I don't know what any of these things mean. The real, who's S. Adams?
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams? Well, I know that, but what does that have to do with the real inside AGCS? As you can see, I'm talking my whole way through this. A Mouseketeer. Oh, I can leave now. A Mouseketeer tale. Actually, at the employee appreciation meeting, they made all the management dress up like Mouseketeers, which I thought was particularly humiliating. That seems to be a running theme with those things. But I wasn't aware you were such an accomplished author, although I was aware that you were very much into books. Books are a wonderful thing. And, leave it, I don't care. On your retirement, though, I applaud you for all the time you spent here. I really enjoyed this club myself. I'm going to kind of do the second one, even though I didn't give you that choice. Soft Talkers has actually had a reasonably profound effect on my life, because Tharp convinced me to come in here and just be bizarre in front of everybody and learn how to do that. And as a result, I've actually written some stuff and perhaps maybe even look towards being an author when I retire, as you have, or something like that. I've even gotten a couple things published, and I've managed to annoy a whole lot of people at area and division contests. Part of it is from learning from you, so for that I thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody in particular, Suzanne, that you would like to have come up here and talk on your behalf for one more time, or shall we just call it quits?
Well, I don't know who else is there.
Well, everybody.
We haven't heard from.
Everybody.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. I just will say a few words about how I got involved with Soft Talkers. I have been very, very active at the district level. Before we started the Soft Talkers Club, I had finished a term as area governor and and then as district governor, and not district governor, but division lieutenant governor. And as a matter of fact, I got an award for outstanding division lieutenant governor for that year. So after all that, I decided just to rest on my laurels and be a plain old Toastmaster. But Toastmasters wouldn't let me do that. And I don't know, some of you may know Arnito. He's been very active over the years at the District 3 level in Arizona. So he approached me about starting a club at what was then GTE. And he came out one day and we had a demonstration meeting, and it just sort of took off from there. And somebody made a comment about my knowing all the rules and getting the club started. I think one of the best things I did for the club was once it was started to back out and let it find its own culture, its own style, and its own direction. And I'm just very, very proud and gratified the way it has turned out. It certainly has turned out much differently than it would have had I gone along and followed all the rules and sort of done things in my narrow librarian type way. I think the club has a tremendous amount of creativity. I think it's unique. It's a very, very special club in Toastmasters, and I want to thank all of you for that.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. And I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments, especially for some of our newer members who maybe don't see how everything fits together. And I like your leading by example. I know that there were a lot of times when something needed to be done and it got done. So I guess that completes our table topics, Master. Let's review the contestants here. Well, let's first call for our timers report. I assume you're including Suzanne in this since she just did the last speech.
I didn't have time now. Sorry.
It was in time.
She was within time.
Bill was a little bit over, but not terribly badly since I missed a few marks. So we have Beth, Rich, Norm, Bill, Jan, and Mr. Edgar have all given speeches, all adequately close enough to time.
Okay, thank you. I guess we don't have our grammarian here, and I was totally tuned out as to whether or not we use the word of the day.
Everybody used it.
Everybody? Okay.
Well, I
Donald said that
don't know,
everybody
but-
used the word of the day.
Everybody except Suzanne.
Okay, and basically everybody was within time
Well,
because...
I'm doing it. I'm not talking.
Okay, so let's vote for our table topics winner. Pass the cup around. And let's see now. I think that I have fulfilled my duty. And I'm going to return control now to our Toastmaster, Del Haney, as soon as he is done voting. And I will... The question is Suzanne one of the contestants? I thought she was one of the contestants.
Yeah.
Yes, she's one of the contestants.
Phil?
Thank you, nice job for table topics. If we could take a minute and have our cameraman set up some shots. I thought that we might just hold up the books once for the camera, because we might not get to see the impact otherwise. This is a Soft Opera in Paris by Suzanne, illustrated by Marc Chagril. Everything you always wanted to find out about the worldwide Irk, is that right? But couldn't locate, by S. Lennon. Lennon Vision, also by S. Lennon, quite accomplished.
I'm glad to hear that.
Travels with Suzanne by A. Soft Talker. And we have here, inside AGCS, you've heard this before, S. Lennon and presumably Scott Adams. A Mouseketeer Tale by Mickey and Suzanne. And then I thought that someone should show this for a camera. Thanks for the support, for getting the card for us, to Darla. And you'll see later a number of folks have signed it for you. And maybe today there's still a chance. If you haven't signed it, you probably could. It is now my pleasure to introduce a long-term Toastmaster to give a few comments on the subject of Suzanne. Are we ready? I now present Reiner Fischer.
As sort of the unofficial club historian, I have an archive of various pictures and videotapes that we made over the past years. And I wanted to share some of this in honoring Suzanne. And a lot of times she was an award winner of speaker or best evaluator. Here's some pictures that I'll pass around of when she was best evaluator. And here was a time when she was carried away, and I think she put the gavel on top of her head. There's an enlargement over there. You'll get a chance to see that, Suzanne.
Good.
But the most fun I had was digging through the whole video archives and trying to find little bits and pieces of things that you've shared with us, shared with Soft Talkers. And I'd like to have everyone look to the key in the corner. And this first one is a recording from an area contest where Suzanne was chief judge. And this shows, just like Beth was saying, her poise and composure that she provided to our club and to the area Toastmasters.
Suzanne is a Toastmaster for 10 years. She is an ATM distinction. She's a past area governor, a division governor. Currently, she is the District Education Committee Chairman, and in that role, she promotes Toastmasters educational opportunities, and she conducts the judges' training. And tonight, she will be the chief judge for the evening. Please help me welcome Suzanne Lennon.
That was Mary Lee Madison, if you were curious.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, Mr. Area Governor, most distinguished guests, and fellow Toastmasters. All of the functionaries have met, have been instructed as to what their various functions are. The contestants have drawn for position by lot so that there is no favoritism shown. We are actually going to conduct this evening's contest as two separate contests, and I will only give you the rules for the humorous contest at this time. We'll cover the evaluation contest when we're ready to start that one.
And etc. That's how the chief judge presents themselves and really brings order to the whole contest. There were some occasions where I found Suzanne was speaking. A lot of her longer speeches is too long to show here. And I found some table topics. Change tapes here.
situation with the budget.
This was a table topics. This was a special table topics where we were doing sort of a political debate, and Suzanne was the rebuttal person after Phil Winard. Phil Winard was one of our presidents and area governors, and right after that you'll see Suzanne with her very poised rebuttal.
Situation with the Iran-Contra situation, why don't we just kind of mix them both together and see what we come up with? Can it be any worse than what we've got now?
And to respond to that, I'd like to call upon Senator Lennon.
Thank you, Madam President of the Senate, fellow senators, fellow congressmen, and my rabble-rousing predecessor, the Honorable Senator from Tennessee. What a bunch of bull, Senator Winard. What a bunch of bull. I don't know which hill you're hiding behind or what kind of moonshine you've been tasting back in the hills, but I did not make any sense whatsoever of your proposal to send pit bulls down to the Contras. Now, not Senator North, I've already promoted him, Ollie North stood here for 1 week and explained how those good folks down in Nicaragua needed the machine guns that we sent them. Now, I propose that we solve our problem by not sending the pit bulls to Nicaragua, but bring the Contras to California. Along with the machine guns, we turn them loose, chasing the pit bulls down the freeway, and we solve everybody's problem. Madam President.
As you can see,
I had forgotten that totally.
we have it on tape for you. Cherished forever. So this shows that sometimes between serious speeches, Suzanne had a very good sense of humor. And last but not least, we have a videotaping of a videotape that we sent to Anna Chung. Anna Chung was about to have her first baby, and in a letter that she sent the club, she said she was concerned about this is a new thing, she doesn't know what to expect. So the the soft talkers here came together and we put together a kind of a training video of what to expect. And right before the shot, the doctor was Gary Ostreicher, who was proceeding to like slap the baby slowly and all this stuff. And then Suzanne came along as the mother now of the child, along with Michael Tharp as the father, kind of explaining to Suzanne how things will be.
Wait to get my bill. Hey, you're kidding. Every perfect place, right?
Oh, what a cute little baby. I just can't believe this is ours. That we had this beautiful baby, and especially with that goofy doctor. I just really had my doubts about this baby. You know, I almost jumped off the table and said, "Get me out of here, get me out of here." But I guess it was all worth it, wasn't it, Dad?
It certainly was. Now, give me a chance for another minute. It was just like that. Like mother, like daughter. Honey, it sounds exactly like what you sound like. Morning sickness.
Delayed reaction.
Is this supposed to be the baby that's crying?
So listen, I think you need some help.
Yes, no. We wouldn't lay down to that.
Well, I've done all the hard work. Now it's your job to change the diaper and open it
Sure.
and do all that
Mention
kind
change
of
the
thing.
diaper, right?
So listen, should we go thank the doctor or should we smack him up the side of the head? I don't know. I thought he took some liberties there. I thought the doctor, I'd like for you to go punch out the doctor. I thought he was a little fresh with me when I was in there. When I
The
was
nurse is already taking care of that. Look over there. Very good.
I don't know.
Look at his face. That's not the face of somebody who's been punched out.
You mean that's the first face my baby saw? Poor baby. Oh, there.
how's the puppy dog?
They're not bad, poor babies. They don't all look like that nasty
Where's the
man.
other eight?
No, they don't look like that nasty man. See, they look handsome like their daddy does. Okay, well, so let's take this picture. Let's close this pop stand and take out.
So this is what Anna received on the other side, and this was all totally impromptu, and it was a lot of fun when we made it. But seriously, Suzanne, thanks for all the time that you put up with us, and thanks for all the help that you've given us, all the mentoring. You've been a mentor to each one of us with your poise and with your humor. And I'd like to just close with a song kind of stolen from Bob Hope. And let me just try to find Les Brown and his orchestra can make it, but let me see if I can find. Maestro, please. Thanks for the mentoring, for forming us our club, and getting us to talk, for bringing us together in a club that talks so soft. Thank you so much. Thanks for the mentoring, of providing a touch of grace when we're at times such a disgrace. In comparison to your composure, we appear like a bunch of apes. Oh, thank you so much. I added that for Edgar there. Thanks for the mentoring, for going out of your way to help us both speak and play. Without all your help, we don't know where our club would be today. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne.
Bump you there. I bumped your alter ego on the way up. Well, that's a tough act to follow. To use a cliche, it's never been more true. But you're a tough act to follow also, Suzanne. So we're glad you're still with us.
Well, I really feel overwhelmed, and there's nothing else I can add except say thank you very, very much.
You're very welcome, I'm sure, from all of us. I'd now like to call up our stand-in general evaluator just to make a few comments about the meeting and to call for any additional reports.
Well, Suzanne, I don't know if I can stand up to the performance that Reiner just gave. Wait until you see it on videotape. It was really good. He's a natural. Anyway, I think the meeting was very good. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about you. I knew that you were an inspiration to all of us, but I didn't realize how much of an inspiration you are to this club. So you have to keep on coming and make it very challenging for us to win table topics. Because I know that when you speak table topics, no one wins but you. But so you still have to make sure you come with us challenges. Anyway, I think the meeting overall went very smooth. I once again really enjoyed it, and we're pretty much on time. And I'd like to take this moment to call for any additional reports. I think we're Marion. Anybody want to fill in?
I think we're okay.
We're okay.
And I think that's it. So thank you for being here.
Okay, one of the next item to do is the presentation of awards, and it turns out that our Toastmaster of the Month is also the vote counter today, which is very convenient. So we would ask the vote counter to give the winner's name to the Toastmaster of the Month, who will present the awards.
Thanks, Bill. Hi, Suzanne. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Okay, we are here to announce the table topics, best table topics of the meeting today, and that is, let's have the drum roll. Suzanne!
What a setup.
I mean, I know you didn't use the word of the day, but that's okay. You were going through time, and that's more than using the word. And you were timed. You were well within the time. There were no hours. So I'm going to present this best table topics ribbon to your olive oil bottle alter ego.
What is it, a virtual award?
It's a real award. It's a real ribbon.
Well, I certainly hope I'll be back at work tomorrow, so hopefully all that stuff will be waiting for me on my desk, or I can pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Sure. We can put it at your desk.
Okay.
And today we have a special award which says retired and loving it. And that also goes to Suzanne Lennon. Suzanne, you won 2 awards today.
Pardon me?
You won 2 awards today.
Yeah, oh, that's great. That's more than I usually win.
And just to recap the beautiful decoration we have here, there are about 6 different colored balloons. And there are some books which are beautifully color wrapped. And we have a beautiful, almost 2 by 1 feet wide card. And let me ask Darla to read that for you. Darla,
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
A lot of the effort in decoration was done by Darla and other people, so that's good. And the card reads, Suzanne, there's something to be said for retirement. Yippee! Congratulations and best wishes. And it is signed by all your well-wishers here and most members of our club and alumni. With that, I would like to ask for any other comments or closing remarks.
No.
I need to finish the Toastmaster.
Oh, sorry.
And I'll call you as Mr. President. You're Mr. There is besides the privilege of leading this meeting, the Toastmaster also gets to present the Spark Plug Award. And I think in honor of this very exceptional meeting, I'm going to present 2 because I've got the floor. First, I'm going to call our photographer and overall singer and mover and shaker Reiner up here for a Spark Plug Award. He certainly deserves this for the effort and the focus on this meeting, which we couldn't have done without him. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, I want Andy to come up, because Andy also got together early on, and this shows what Toastmasters is all about, and the idea of organizing and planning a meeting and accomplishing something like this and getting things coordinated. So Andy deserves the award for that too. So we'll set another precedent and have 2 spark plugs today. Thank you. For the final agenda item is to have our joke master speak, and we will have Bob Felling come up and speak to us, either dramatically or with a joke at his discretion. Yes, don't knock it all over. Suzanne.
Thank you. Thank you. Suzanne, I haven't had an opportunity to enjoy the pleasure of your speaking and the meeting since I've been here the last couple of months. But I ran across a story that's quite appropriate for you today. And it's about a man who once said, if I believed in reincarnation, I think I'd want to be a mattress in my second life. Why, he was asked. So I could lay in bed all day. Suzanne, it's your retirement and maybe your reincarnation. But we suspect here that as active as you are, you'll be more like the Scotch couple who was going to America. Sandy said to wife, do you think we should have started this economy trip to America? Shut up and keep swimming, he said. You'll be doing a lot more swimming than resting, we're sure, in the years to come. I am really appreciating the legacy you've left here in Soft Talkers, and I hope in the next day or two I get to know you a little better. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And now I'd like to reintroduce our president to close our meeting. Thank you very much all for coming.
Thank you, Bill. Good job.
Okay, at this point, I would like to invite any comments from any of the guests or any members. Any closing remarks? Suzanne?
Yes.
We thank you very much for everything you've done for the club and everything you've done for the company.
Well, believe me, I've been repaid tenfold.
Beautiful.
I've gotten so much more out of it. I would say I've received 10 times more than I've given, and it's just been a joy throughout.
It's been a pleasure too. Okay, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good day.